Hi, my name is Ron Lehman. I'm from the Faux School in Frederick, Maryland, where I teach decorative painting workshops, and you can hire me to do commission projects all around the country and beyond. Today, I'm going to show you a really cool technique using our Grasello plaster and our linear tool. So let's get our tools, let's get our materials, and let's get started. So the first thing I've done to get ready for today's technique is I've base coated the board using the micro primer. You can take micro primer tints with universal colorants and pigment. Pigment and universal colors are kind of two different things. Universal colorants are colorants made from ground pigments. So you can tint it with either one of those. Never paint. Interior, exterior, cleans up with soap and water, and I've rolled the surface with the 1/4 inch nap roller so I don't create a lot of roller texture. Step 2 is base coating the plaster. Can you see that? That is their Marmorino berlina. That's why I got the words confused. Marmorino berlina. It's Marmorino, lime based. Only tints with lime compatible pigments or lime compatible colorants. I have to be kind of careful because pigments and colorants are two different things. I don't want to confuse people. Never paint. It has to be lime compatible. The cool thing about Firmolux is you can send them a paint chip or call them and they'll tint it for you. Yeah, it's pre-tinted colors as well. So, Marmorino tints with lime-compatible pigments, lime-compatible colorants, cleans up with soap and water, interior or exterior, and that's it. So our tools we're going to need for today are our stainless steel Pavan trowel. That's the small one. Stainless steel Pavan putty. This is about 3 inches. This is the one I typically use for everything. Okay, let's load our trowel with the Marmorino. I'm not going to tint it. It's going to be my base. I could tint it if I wanted to. It's not a big deal for this application. And what it's going to do is even out the surface for me. So if I have a wall with surface irregularities, slight irregularities, not like big, nasty, gnarly things, but if we have a house that's new construction and the walls look pretty smooth, and as always, if you look down the wall sideways or down the side of a wall like this, with a high-powered 500-watt halogen light, everything that you see will be shown, or it could be seen when you apply Grassello. But by putting 2 coats of Marmorino down first, we don't have to worry about that. And just take the Marmorino, put it on, even it out nice and clean, meaning you don't want a lot of trowel lines, you don't want to see a lot of things. So what I'm going to do, this is my first coat, as I said probably 2 or 3 times already. It has to go on, has to dry 100% before you do your second coat. So I'm going to get this on. And because I'm just using it as a bedding plaster or a bed coat, I'm not super concerned about creating a certain type of movement, because when I finish these 2 coats, it'll be a flat finish. I'm going to start doing more Marmorino videos to show you the variations of Marmorino. I know I've been really heavily concentrating on Grassello lately. Grassello is just a hot plaster right now. The technique, the finish, the look. The traditional polished Grassello, that's a big thing right now. And the thing about plasters is there's so many types of plasters. You can be a Grassello specialist and do it well and make a great living just doing Grassello plaster techniques. Marmorino, there's a whole gamut. My God, it's mind-boggling. All right, I think I said it before. If you can see this, I'm using a stainless steel trowel. You see these black marks right here? Right here, here, and here, and here. That's from the carbon coming off of this trowel. That's why I always say if you're doing a finished technique or your finished color is going to be white or light, use the plastic, okay? All right, we're going to let this dry 100%, come back, do the second coat the exact same way as we did our first coat, and then we're going to do the finish technique. Oh, see you in a bit. Okay, so our Marmorino is dry, but I wanted to show you something. Those blackish grayish spots we were just talking about from the trowel. Where are we here? Sorry. Let me come on this side. Right here. See this? So I gotta look on this side so I can see. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but there they are. Oh, that's a better angle. See that? Now, if that was on your entire wall, you're gonna have to sand it off. You just can't try to bury that with another coat. It doesn't work that way. Or try to spot it out. Burying it with another coat will work with a whole coat over the entire wall. Just trying to go over the spot's not gonna work. So, take your time, do it right from the beginning. Okay, first coat. Now, there's some things here. If this was a wall, I could get away with doing the Grassello over this. The only thing I'm concerned about is this trowel mark and this trowel mark. They're going to telegraph through, and this scratch up here. So, I know I say it's not a big deal to do it another coat. You build it, you price the job right, you don't have to worry about it. Let's just put the second coat on so we know it's done properly. And this will make it really smooth. And I always forget, Marmorino is so nice to work with. I cannot wait to start doing some Marmorino videos. See how it's really getting dark? Because I'm working it, you know, I'm putting more varnish on it. But I'm not worried about it because this is going to finish off with black plaster, and you're going to see why. I'm going to show you a cool tool that I just got from Italy. Gather it up. Now you're seeing some of it fall down, and that's because it's drying out. This plaster, the Marmorino is so dry. When I put the fresh Marmorino on the dry Marmorino, it's sucking the moisture right from the one end to the other to try to hydrate itself. And there's little things you can do with like water spritzer bottles if it's drying out too quickly when you're trying to manipulate it. But that's a Marmorino thing. Now, we're not in Marmorino right now. Well, we are now, but I'm not worried about that's a Marmorino finishing technique. We'll get to that when we get to the other stuff. All right, let's clean it up. You can get it off the trowel, put it away. It's going to gather up a little bit. See all that discoloration I'm getting? That's why you got to be real careful about a lot of things when you're finishing plaster. Down in that little corner. Alright. That's it. We're going to let it dry, come back and get into the Grassello. See you in a little bit. Okay, so our second coat of Marmorino is completely dry. We're ready to move on. Again, Marmorino is its own product. You can create endless amounts of finishes with Marmorino. So, again, I'm just getting started with this making video thing. Let's get moving. Next step is going to be the Grassello Plaster. It's the it's a filtered lime, meaning it's smooth and creamy like peanut butter, and you can polish it to a high gloss. Marmorino, you can't get that high gloss out of it. I've tinted it to a color. Gotta remember the color off the top of my head. It's a dark. I'll put it in the comment section because I didn't write it on the side of the can. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. I believe it's called, it's Jet Black from Sherwin-Williams. All right. So, my trowel, still the stainless steel trowel. My spatula, I'm going to change my spatula size because I'm working out of a quart can. So this I'm going to put it on pretty traditional, meaning, you know, I want it clean, I want it smooth. It's going to be my first coat. Keep it clean, keep it gathered up. Get a little bit more. But I'm not pulling it real tight like I usually do. And you'll see why. Because it's going to be something a little bit different. And the reason is we're going to kind of use it as more of a decorative. We're not going to do the traditional technique of polished lime with this. This time the Grassello is going to be our material to create a decorative style finish. So let's just get this on. Quit talking. Whoops, I pulled some Marmorino off of the corner. Daggone it. That's what I get for not cleaning everything properly. Okay, that's it. Let's let this dry and come back and do the next step. Alright, Grassello is dried completely. It has to dry completely. If you put it on too thick, it's going to go on too soon. If I try to go over it too soon with my second coat and it's not completely dry, it could lift, it could peel depending on temperature and humidity. It might skin over and be soft underneath. Just let it dry. Take your time, do it the right way. So before we get into the finished part of this plaster technique, we got to talk about the new tool we're going to introduce here. It's called the linear tool. Thing is absolutely cool. All the possibilities, what we can do with it. Meaning there's going to be a lot more videos showing all the possibilities that this little guy can create for you. It's small. It's about 5, what is that? It's about 5 inches by 5 inches, 4.5 by 4.5. Made in Italy. It's a great little guy. Clean it, just make sure you clean it when you're finished with it. We're going to create a diagonal, really cool diagonal design. So that's it right there. Remember, links in the description down below or in the comment section. Okay, so if you want to get these tools, these materials, everything's down below. So what we got to do though is give ourselves some plaster, wet plaster to manipulate. So we're going to take our Grassello and put it on, not real thick. If we remember, if we put it on too thick, it's going to crack. So we can't go too thin now. If we go too thin, we get nothing out of this. Meaning it's not going to show anything. All right, so let's get the first part of it done. We're going to just put our plaster on. I know you're thinking, he's putting it on too thick, it's going to crack. No, it won't. Take our time, watch. You'll see how this is going to work. So I am putting on rather thick. And right there I could stop doing the whole thing. The other trick, see the air bubbles? When you get air bubbles, you know you're putting it on too thick. Alright, let's just keep rolling here. Alright, part one. Now, let's get our linear tool. What I'm going to do is just kind of take it and tap it into the plaster. Alright, I'm going to create a heavy vein, sort of, so to speak, right here in the center. And I'm tapping it and kind of dragging it a little bit. Just a little bit. Making it a lot of traffic through the middle. But as it comes out, I want to fade it out a little bit. So a little bit less and less on both sides, alright? Just like so, and I'm not tapping quite as heavy. Let's come down here and do another one. So in the center, I'm going to use more pressure. I'm going to go deeper into the plaster, get a little busy with it. Pull that Marmorino off my tape, daggone it. Just a little bit here. So in between, I'm almost nothing between where these guys touch, but I want a little bit, just so it doesn't look like it's forced. I'm trying to create a real natural, like, stone effect. Here's what I'm going for. All right, now I can even pull it through just a little bit more, not too much. I don't want to create these like drags. I want to create these real fun little patterns, like almost fossilized, or I don't want to say fossilized, but just some cool effects. It's got an interest and a direction to it. All right, now what has to happen is this has to firm up, not dry. It needs to get firm. And then what I'm gonna do is take a clean trowel and come back over top of it and knock back the high spots. So it'll be pretty flat. Slight bit of texture here and there from the depressions that this tool's created in the plaster. So what I'm gonna do is, while I'm waiting, I'm gonna clean this tool. By that time, this should be firm enough where I can come over and knock down the high spots. So I'll see in just a pinch. Okay, so we're almost to that stage. See the dark spots? It's still wet here. And it's getting kind of dry up here. Actually, this is totally dry because it's so thin. So before it gets completely dry, clean trowel. And we're gonna slightly just come across and not compressing it. We're knocking down the high spots. So think of it like this. If this is what the plaster looks like under magnification, these little tips here would be the top of the plaster. Down here would be where the tool went in and got to it. I'm going to slightly, with a light pressure, come and just kind of hit it and knock some of it down, like so. I don't want to completely make it flat. I want to just knock some of it down, because when I come back with my wax, it's going to get caught in those areas, and you're going to be able to see it. Hopefully that makes, I'm pretty sure that makes sense. So just lightly come by, and you can still see it, that it's there, and I can kind of just start to knock it down. And then after it completely dries, now you got to be careful. This is still really soft. See how dark the color is compared to here? So we know that's really wet. If I come back and compress too much, or not, I will make it pretty flat, almost completely flat, and lose it. All right? So now it's going to set for a few minutes, and it's almost to the point where I can still do it. I can start to come in here and give myself a burnish. Hear that? And you just kind of, you're not going to do an entire room at the exact same time. You're going to do a wall at a time. All right, so don't think, how could I possibly do that? It's not a big deal. You take your time, and with practice and time, it's not going to be able to be doing this instantly on big giant rooms. You'd almost be crazy to go out and do it. But you also got to know when to get help. So because of this texture that we've created, we're not going to get that high gloss all over the entire surface. We're going to get some of it here and there, and it's fine. Only the high spots are going to compress and give us the nice burnish that we're looking for. This is a different look. All right, so let's see what happens when we pull it off here and take a peek at it. So you're still kind of getting some of it. See it? All right. Now, it has to dry 100%, and let's play with some wax. See in just a little bit. So the Grassello is totally dried. We're ready to add some decorative fun to it. All right, we're going to take some wax, our spatula wax, the Italian polishing wax that we use for all of our products, or all of our wax, I should say. We're going to change it. What we're going to do is start playing with mica powders to tint the color of the wax. Mica powders are, well, here's what they are. Come in a jar. This is from Sep Leaf out of New York, and it's simply mica, finely ground metallic powder. Watch. See that? Look at that. Whole different world. And we're going to start playing with those as we start getting into this too. Remember, all the links to all these colors are down below, making it very easy for you. Look, it doesn't want to come off with just a rag. You got to wash your hands. So anyway, mica powders. We're going to play with our micro copper, our super bronze, Aztec Gold. I'm not going to try to confuse you about this. This is confusing in its own. There are hundreds of these colors out there to play with, and it's awesome. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to be playing with 3. That means I have 3 different containers of wax tinted up. How do you do that? Quite simple. Grab a mica powder. I take 2 tablespoons per quart of wax. Mix it up, stir it, stir it, stir it. I'll let it rest, and I'll stir it up again. So if I'm doing a job tomorrow, I'm going to make my wax today. Always mix it up ahead of time and let it rest and stir it really well. Don't use a mechanical mixer because what happens is it almost liquefies. If you get it too hot, it'll liquefy, it's wax, and you got a big mess on your hand. Just put it in there, stir it up really well. I've used a squirrel mixer, it works fine. But you got to make individual colors. You can't put all 3 colors into one wax expecting to do the same thing because I'm going to be layering my colors. So I'm going to get in here first with, and I put them in for here, it's a plastic cup. This is which one is this? And always mark your cup so you don't get confused. But again, 2 tablespoons to a quart. That formula has been working for me for 10, 15 years, and I've never had a problem with it. So I'm going to take a rag. I'm going to do something a little different because I'm going to rag it on. All right. I'm just going to kind of start rubbing it in because I want to have more control, meaning how I put it on. And usually you see me with a trowel, not now. I want to have a little bit more fun how this goes, where it goes. Circles, see I'm working in circles. If you go back and forth, you might be able to see how you put it on back and forth. So if I did that, see these lines, they might stay and I might not be able to get rid of them. So circles. Still my linear motion, just working in circles. All right, let's come down here and put some. And you notice a lot of times I'll always say I put that coat of clear wax on as a protective barrier. Not this time. I'm just going right into it. Okay. Now I can always come back with a clean trowel if I'm worried about too much wax on the surface and just kind of scrape it off. That will take any high stuff off, but I'm not getting anything. So I'm going to keep going. Alright, this is going to take a little while. And there's no... you got to play with this and just keep playing till you get comfortable with it. I can't tell you what the ratio of this is or ratio to that is. This isn't something you just do right out of a can and expect it to look the exact same way. This is the beauty of this. It's always going to be different every time you do it. No 2 jobs are ever going to be the same. Alright, just flip my rag around to a clean side and let's get into the super bronze. This is just what I mixed it with. I'm going to pull the excess off, clean it. I'm not going to waste it. And see, I can layer these now. So the idea of layering is different colors underneath and over top of others so they dance with each other over top of each other. If you mix all this into one, you're not going to get much but a muddy mess. And I'm using a light pressure. I'm not like grinding on this and trying to do anything heavy or hurt it. Just letting them all dance together, work together. Just floating it basically. And some colors are more distinct or pronounced than other colors just because they're stronger, more intense. If I put a black wax, there is black mica. If I put black mica over this, you're really not going to see it. But what it does do, if I'm getting too strong, I've actually finished finishes. I've gone over top of techniques like this where I've got lots of color, lots of color. I've used black wax over top of it to kind of bury it and soften a lot of it. Don't worry, we'll get to that. We're going to be spending a lot of time together. Lots of things to show you, lots of things to do. All right. And what's nice is I can put some on. Let's go to another color, see what we have here. Aztec Gold. But I'm going to change my rag up because all of that is still wet. It'll grab the Aztec Gold and just mix it in and make a messy color. It's wet here, but it's already starting to dry here. So you can start seeing your different colors popping. 1, 2, and underneath you have those tones. And as you start, as you get used to it, get comfortable with it, it's like, well, I want to come back and you're just constantly, this is a totally different thing. We're going to be layering and playing until we get the desired look that we want. Now, if you're doing it for a customer and you make a sample board, you better make sure that they completely understand it, you understand it. You're not going to be able to recreate this exactly the same way as a sample board on a giant wall or any wall, because it's hand apply. This isn't wallpaper where we can just knock it out and it looks exactly the same. That's the beauty of these things. No two are ever the same. So I got a lot of Aztec Gold hopping in there. So if I can find a clean spot on my rag, get back here into this micro copper because it has those red tones. So I can just kind of come in there, look, and hit some of that. All right, let's put a little bit more down in here too. So while I'm playing, remember it's 2 tablespoons of mica powder to a quart of wax. Stir it really well, let it rest. It's kind of like making good spaghetti sauce. Make it the day before you use it, that way it's just keeps working. And we let this dry 100%. And then come back and polish it. Let's see what we have. I know you're going, well, you just finished putting the wax on. But I'm not bearing it with wax. I'm not putting it on real thick. All right? And the other thing about wax is you don't have to come back in 6 months and redo it, or even 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. Usually once it, I'm trying to remember the oldest wall I've done, and I saw it a couple months ago and it still looked fantastic. Now I would have liked to have gone back and maybe just buff it out a little bit, but that wall's going on, I don't even want to say this, holy cow, almost 20 years. I should say the first wall I did by myself. All right, check this out. All right, I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna pull the tape because it's gonna look a lot cooler without the tape. Give me a few minutes, I'll be right back. All right, so we're completely dry. It took me longer to take the trim the tape. I actually trimmed it, took a razor knife with a straight edge and trimmed it like I would on a job because I didn't want to peel anything off, meaning I didn't want the plaster to lift with the tape. So always take a straight edge, trim it, peel your tape. All right, right here, see how it looks like a damp spot or a spot that I missed? No, watch this. This thing's moving. See, it's gone. There it is. There, it's gone. Look at all that dancing, all those colors, and see the linear motion of the wax? Let's bring it up so you can see a detail of the texture. See all that? Look at that cool stuff. But watch this. It's not as textured as you think. Isn't that awesome? There it is. Cool. Something else with Grassello. All right. I'll put all the details down below in the comments, links to tools, links to materials. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will answer them as quickly as I possibly can. Do me a favor and hit that like and that subscribe button so you know when I'm making new videos. I'm trying to make as much as I can for you, and I'm going to start taking you out on projects with me as well. I've got a couple cool projects coming up. I'm going to be doing some wood graining on a ceiling to make it look like match the new wood to the old wood. I got a bathroom coming up. I'm going to be doing leather panels with alligator technique and plaster, all kinds of cool stuff, and I'll keep doing the how-to tutorials. All right, my name is Ron Lehman. I'm from the Faux School in Frederick, Maryland. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.